After the end of RuneFest 2025, I spent some of my plane journey on the way back to Glasgow contemplating about some of the announcements and how they will affect the game moving forward. We have some exciting news about the much anticipated area expansion, which we now know is going to be called Havenhythe. But how could this new area fit into where the vampire storyline left off? Which characters might we see return? What should you do in order to prepare? Don't worry, I've got you covered. My name is Glacial Phoenix, or the RuneScape Lorehound, and join me for a discussion about Vampyrium, Havenhythe, the Myreque, and how you should prepare for the upcoming expansion later on this year. Guarded by Inanna, a guardian of Gothic since the First Age, Havenhythe is a simple, peaceful place filled with beautiful areas and kind townsfolk, which is situated to the east of Mauritania. They are likely Gothixians, but under the careful guidance of Inanna, the citizens are encouraged to not worship Gothics as per his wishes. Havenhythe will consist of a varied landscape with potentially changing biomes throughout the year. Its capital is Wendelwick, and the story will consist of a new breed of vampire, the primordial Strigoi, threatening to overtake the peaceful region. I also recall mention of a corrupting mist in Havenhythe, which may be debilitating to the player in some way. It will be interesting to find out how this terrain may limit our abilities. Havenhythe will be pretty large, with Mod Black Witch estimating the area to be between 1.5 and 2 times the size of Anachronia. Jagex moderators took some inspiration for the area from myths of the historical English countryside. Havenhythe is planned to be split into 4 parts, but the number of quests contained within these 4 parts is debated, with small one-off quests also being a possibility. It is also possible that Havenhythe will have some connection to the next skill release, but this is unconfirmed as the timescale is too large. Mod Breezy indicated a canoe system within the expansion is possible, and we will probably be facing a boss at the end of the storyline of Havenhythe, like we will with a mascot at the tail end of the Desert series in the summer. To tie up loose ends and continue the flow of the story, there may be a small link between the end of the Desert series and the beginning of Havenhythe's story. Guardian of Gothics Inanna needs your help to defend the region from strong vampiric enemies which have emerged from a portal in the ancient First Age city to the east of the capital. This portal, ladies and gentlemen, will lead to the vampiric homeworld of Vampyrium. Before we delve into Vampyrium, please do, if you're enjoying this content, leave me a like and subscribe for more. So, up to now, we have only actually ever visited Vampyrium once, briefly, during the battle with Laurenial Draken in the Lord of Vampyrium quest. The world of Vampyrium is situated on one of the lower planes of the universe, and is home to the true vampires. It has a blood-red sky, and supposedly contains many castles and fortresses. Up to now, only 4 true vampires came from the world into Gielinor, who were Laurenial, Rhanis, Draenor and Venescula Draken. These characters have played a key role in many quests in RuneScape, from Vampire Slayer to the entire Myreque quest series, which we'll be talking about a bit later on. Probably at some point during the First Age, Zaros visited the world of Vampyrium and introduced the concepts of society and culture to the vampiric inhabitants there. This caused a civil war to break out until 8 houses emerged, which unified the vampires, encouraging them to pledge their allegiance to Zaros. Many followed Zaros to Gielinor in the Second Age. Perhaps we will be meeting some of these vampires through the portal in Havenhythe. So what would I recommend getting done before the release of Havenhythe? For the upcoming release, I would recommend completing all of the Myreque quests, which consist of Priest in Peril, Nature's Spirit, Shades of Morton, In Search of the Myreque, In Aid of the Myreque, Darkness of Halavale, Legacy of Seergaze, Branches of Darkmaya, The Lord of Vampyrium, and River of Blood, in order to fully understand and appreciate the story of the vampires and their relationship with the Gielinorians. The last quest in this series, River of Blood, requires fairly high skill requirements, consisting of 78 attack, ranged and magic, 80 constitution, 76 firemaking, 75 fletching, 80 herb lore and 72 mining, so best to get started on training now before the area releases in late 2025. Completing the mini-quest in memory of the Myreque is also recommended to fully get closure on the Myreque organisation and its members. However, in order for the area to be accessible to all, Mod Jack essentially confirmed at RuneFest to me that Havenhythe will release with very few requirements, which sadly means no Myreque vampire hunters will turn up initially. Although Mod Jack did say to me that this does not mean that the Myreque quests won't be requirements of the higher tier Havenhythe quests, and that characters will not make a return. It is certainly possible that as we close in on Vampyrium's portal, requirements like Lord of Vampyrium or River of Blood may start to creep in, and loose ends from that storyline may be tied up. I'm just going to warn here now that there will be spoilers for the Myreque quest series coming up. At RuneFest, Jagex mentioned that many new characters would be introduced to the player, but that you would also venture to Havenhythe with a squad of vampire hunters. Many of the Myreque members were sadly killed during the Lord of Vampyrium, and as a result the organisation was dissolved. However, some survived, and I wonder whether some of these survivors will end up accompanying you, even if it is later on in the Havenhythe quest series. Because of this possibility, let's recap a little about the Myreque. For those who don't know, the Myreque were a resistance group attempting to liberate Mauritania from Livernial Draken's tyrannic rule. They played a fundamental role in the Myreque quest series and are some of the best vampire hunters in the region. They are split into two orders, the Berg de Roe Order and the Sanguinesti Order. Let's recap the Myreque members, who they are, and whether they're alive currently. The Berg de Roe Order consists of the following members. Veliath Hertz. He was the determined leader of the Myreque before he disbanded the organisation after the Lord of Vampyrium. He is currently alive. Harold Evans was the group's main fighter, but was killed during the In Search of the Myreque quest. Ivan Strom is a trainee priest who remains alive after the end of the quest series. Polmafi Ferdegrees is an interesting one to me. He was a scholar of the Myreque, whose fate remains unknown after the events of the Lord of Vampyrium quest, where he is knocked back into the Vampyrium portal when Draken emerges from it. Interestingly, despite a statue being built in memory of him during the In Memory of the Myreque mini-quest, there is no evidence that he is actually deceased, and therefore could certainly be alive, and making a return once the player arrives in Vampyrium. This character's potential return is one of the most interesting things to me. Radagad Pomfit was a fighter of the Myreque, until Draken broke his neck during the Lord of Vampyrium. Sani Pilyu was the only female member of the Myreque until she was killed by Vanstrom Klaus during the In Search of the Myreque quest. The Sanguinesti Order consists of these members. Safalan Hallow was a half Iceni and the leader of this division. He plays a fundamental role during the latter Myreque quests, but is currently alive, as a word, after a failed cure attempt during the River of Blood. For those who don't know, a word is a vampirised Iceni. Vertida Cephalatis is killed during the final battle with Lord Draken during the Lord of Vampyrium. Andius Jupe was killed during the Legacy of Seergaze quest. Flagian Scruti left the Myreque during the Legacy of Seergaze, but Vertida explains later on that his fate is actually unknown. Kael Forshaw was killed during the Lord of Vampyrium quest. And finally, Mekrita Sahara was thrown out of a window, ouch, during the Lord of Vampyrium and has been confirmed as deceased. So then, it is possible that Jagex will include Veliath, Ivan or Safalan or someone else in Havenhythe, and it would be welcomed to see Polmafi or Flagian make a return, especially integrating Polmafi into the storyline if he is still trapped within Vampyrium. The last thing to mention is the potential artwork conducted by the Environments team. With the absolutely incredible work that they have done throughout many Gilnorian cities, it is likely that we could expect Mauritania to receive a makeover around the time when Havenhythe releases. But obviously this is not confirmed, this is me just theorising. So, Havenhythe will be a really cool expansion to RuneScape and to the world of Gielinor. It will provide us with new skilling areas, a portal to another world, new archaeological mysteries, a huge amount more lore, and new boss encounters. I certainly have not covered all the possibilities in this video, but I have, tried to explain some potential theories and how best to prepare in my opinion. How do you think Havenhythe will alter the game? What are you expecting? Let me know in the comments below. Well, that's me signing off guys, but take very good care and I will see you in the next video. Let's get excited for Havenhythe.
Stand with me against these ancient, treacherous creatures. Their leaders will stop at nothing. Heed my call, hero, and save Havenhythe from this terrible fate.